Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first Yu-Gi-Oh stream on the channel. Today we're doing my retro Yu-Gi-Oh house format. So we're playing with old cards in a way that I've been playing it with them at home. So we will be playing with cards up to before Strike of Neos, and all the cards released both in the TCG and the OCG, which is the Japanese version, will be legal. All the stuff that was released before that set, and there are also some modern rules, but the cards are all pretty old. If you're new to Yu-Gi-Oh, we're gonna start by doing a quick, a game where I go over the rules in a rough manner, not all of the details, just explaining the essentials of the game, and then we're gonna have some deck talk for the decks of today, and then we're gonna just see the decks in action in a match, and we'll go from there depending how much time we have left. But basically, I think when you play a trading card game, it's nice to play a limited format because the booster pack model just makes you endlessly spend money. And obviously, you don't need to play my format. There are other retro formats. There's the GOAT format that's very popular. I just made one that I feel suits what I want to play with. So there's my own ban list, and we use some of the modern rules. We don't use the modern errata and so on to get all the old school effects. For those who haven't seen Yu-Gi-Oh before, it's a collectible card game, and you get cards via booster packs normally, but today we're playing online, so obviously it's going to be digital. If you play a card game like that in a limited format, you can sort of explore it forever, and I personally enjoy that as long as there's enough variety within the format. So today we're just gonna jump straight into a game now and experience the game. And I really like this old school version of the game, and also making my own format means that I can tweak it in a way where I get to experience the game from a new perspective again. So I'm gonna join my helper's game here, and we'll jump straight into a game of Yu-Gi-Oh. Hopefully I think I should have the right right deck selected. And again, so we're gonna do a very, very quick and rough explanation of the rules. So you can do rock, paper, scissors to decide who starts. So let me just check that my camera is positioned correctly. Yeah, it looks fine. All right. So I believe he decided who starts. Just gonna check. Okay, so we're starting. So in Yu-Gi-Oh, let me show here. So down here you can see that in the bottom, in the corner underneath my face, you can see my life points. It says 8,000. And at the top of the screen, above the penguin, you can see another number, 8,000. Those are his life points. So the winner of a Yu-Gi-Oh game is the person who gets their opponent to zero life first. And to do that, you usually attack with monsters, but you can also use card effects to deal damage to them. Your turn you have several phases of your turn that you can go through. So you start with the draw phase, where you always get a card on your turn. We're playing with the rule that whoever starts doesn't get to draw on their first turn. So basically my first draw phase does nothing. Then you have the standby phase that normally nothing happens there, but some effects trigger in the standby phase. And then you have the main phase. So I'm going to click to go to the main phase to show him that I'm going to my main phase. That's where you do most of your stuff. You can summon monsters, activate spell cards. You can set trap cards. So there are three types of cards in the game: monster cards, spell cards, trap cards. And I'm gonna go through them procedurally throughout the game. So let's start with monsters. So I have 3 monsters in my hand. Those are the orange ones. Spell cards are the blue ones, and then you have the pink ones that are the trap cards. So you have what's called one normal summon every game. That means playing a monster from your hand, and you can either put it face down in defense position or face up in attack position. And we will get to what attack and defense position mean, but when they're in defense position, they're going to be on the side, and when they're in attack position, they're going to be facing the way they are in my hand right now. So in order to normal summon something, you first check how many stars it has. So this Magician of Faith only has 1 star, so that means it's level 1. Mobius the Frost Monarch in my hand, he has 6 stars. That if you have above 4 stars, so if you have 5 or 6, then you need to tribute 1 monster that you already have on your board in order to play that monster. So I cannot play Mobius right now, and the same goes for Zaborg because he has 5 stars. If a monster has more than 6 stars, then you have to tribute 2 monsters to summon that monster. We don't have any of those big ones in the deck, but that's good to know. So the only monster I can really summon right now is this Magician of Faith. Because she has a flip effect, which is an effect that triggers when she's flipped, I want to put her face down because face down monsters can be flipped. And we will explain the circumstances. So I'm going to click set, which means using your normal summon to put a monster face down. So that means I've used my summon for the turn. And I can also do things with these spells and the trap card. Spell cards can be... when you summon a monster, you put it in one of your monster zones, and you only have 5, as you can see here. If all of them are filled, then you cannot summon monsters anymore, unless it's a tribute summon, because then you will get rid of a monster in order to play your monster. And the same thing is for your spell and trap cards. You put them on the row beneath. That's called your, I guess, spell and trap card zones. So if those are filled, you can't put more spells or traps on the table. Spell cards are cards that you can activate whenever you want, right away, from your hand, during your main phases. If they're a quick play spell card, like this Scapegoat, they have the lightning symbol. It means you can play them on your opponent's turn as well, and also you can play them in response to things. That's also how trap cards work, except trap cards can't be activated unless they have been face down on the field for a turn already. So I'm going to set this trap hole on my board, and that means I can activate it later on. So I'm going to do the same with Scapegoat, actually, because it's a quick play spell card that I can use on his turn. And I can't play any of the other cards in my hand, so I'm just going to pass to him. And so he's going to start by drawing a card. And yeah, we're just going to go explain things as they appear. So he drew his card for the turn. That's his draw phase. And his normal summon. Now, he didn't mark that he's going to the main phase, but this implies that he did now, actually. So now he's in his main phase, and he played a DD Assailant. And I can actually respond when he does things. Sometimes a trap card meets its trigger condition, or its activation condition. So for some trap cards, you can activate whenever you want, basically. But this card, Trap Hole, it says, when your opponent normal or flip summons a monster with 1000 or more attack, target that monster and destroy that target. So I want to do that. So I'm going to activate this Trap Hole. And what happens, when he does that, he can respond with a quick play card from his hand. So what happens in Yu-Gi-Oh! When an effect is activated, like the one on Trap Hole, is that the first card that was activated, the first effect that was activated, becomes part of a chain. You call the first card Chain Link 1, and then the players can add more things to the chain. But you can't add any card to a chain. So there are some cards that can start a chain, like monster effects normally can start a chain, and spell cards. but you can only add quick effects to the chain or spell speed 2 or higher cards, and those are trap cards and quick play spell cards. So now after I play the trap hole, he could respond to, or he could add something to the chain by playing a quick play spell from his hand, but he chose not to. He gave me the thumbs up, which means he doesn't have a response. I could still activate something, though, if I wanted to, but I will choose not to use the scapegoat right now. So when everyone is satisfied and doesn't want to put more things on the chain, then the chain will resolve. And the way it works is pretty counterintuitive, but this is something that's used in Magic the Gathering as well. So the card that was activated last is the one that resolves first. In this case, only the trap hole is on the board, so it will resolve. And that means the effect of it will be applied, his monster is destroyed, and then my trap hole goes to my graveyard, which is where all my discarded cards go, and his card... so when a monster is destroyed, it goes to the graveyard as well, of course. He plays a spell card now, because he's still in his main phase, so he can play spell cards from his hand. He uses Nobleman of Crossout that says, target one face down monster on the field, destroy the target, and if you do, banish it. Then if it was a flip monster, each player reveals their main deck, then banishes all cards from it with that monster's name. So I'm going to banish this Magician of Faith that he targeted. I can't stop this with any of my cards. And also, Magician of Faith is a flip monster, like Nobleman of Crossout said, so we have to search our decks and banish all copies of Magician of Faith from our decks. And I have another copy here, so I'm gonna banish it. And yes, shuffle my deck. Am I too zoomed in? No. I'm just gonna test the chat. Cool. Oh yeah, he just shuffles his deck. Even if he doesn't have this, you have to search through your deck, I guess, technically. So he's supposed to shuffle it. So I'll draw for the turn. Oh, and also he put a card face down. So you can put, so again, you can put traps face down. You can put a spell cards face down. Even the spell cards that you can't activate on your opponent's turn, you can put them face down and then save them for later, or just to pretend that it's a trap card. But now what I want to do is play this card, Breaker the Magical Warrior. So I'll go to my main phase, because I already drew my card. And we're gonna use my normal summon to summon Breaker the Magical Warrior. And he says, if this card is normal summoned, place one spell counter on it. So let's do that. This card will, this thing will be the spell counter. And it says that he has 300 extra attack for each spell counter on him. And I can remove one spell counter from him to target one spell or trap card on the field and destroy it. So I'm gonna activate Breaker. And target this card. Now he can respond, just like when I activate a trap hole. He doesn't want to respond. So Breaker's effect will resolve and destroy this trap card that he had. And now I will go to my battle phase. So what you can do in your battle phase is each monster that you have on the field can attack. Now you can't do this on your first turn if you start, but it's not my first turn, so I can do it. And I can, if he has monsters, then I have to attack one of his monsters if I want to attack, but he doesn't have any monsters, so I can attack him directly. And what happens then is he takes damage equal to the attack of Breaker. And so, yeah, he will take 1600, and I can't really do anything else this turn. I have Mobius in my hand and Zaborg, so I can't use them. I'll just pass. And so it's back to him, and he gets a card for the turn. And he's thinking. He's playing a spell card called Premature Burial, and it has as you can see, there's a cross on the card, right next to where it says spell card. And that means it's an equipped spell card. Yeah, he targets DD Assailant in his graveyard with this. So this one lets him summon, special summon a monster from his graveyard. And he has to pay 800 life points to activate it. And then Premature Burial is equipped to that card. And if Premature Burial is destroyed, then the monster is also destroyed. So there's a few things there. So special summon means that it's a summon where you don't have to use your normal summon. So special summoning is something that you can do any amount of times on your turn. There's no limit on it like there is with normal summoning. And equipping a monster with a card means that their fates are bound. So if the DD Assailant is removed from the field, then Premature Burial will be destroyed. And in this case, Premature Burial also says that if Premature Burial is destroyed, then the monster will be destroyed. But that's not always the case with equipped spells. But anyway, he entered the battle phase, and he declared an attack with his DD Assailant on my Breaker. And the way it works, if two monsters that are in attack position, like these monsters are, battle each other, then the monster with the lower attack is destroyed, and I also take battle damage equal to the difference between the attack values. So I'm gonna send Breaker to the graveyard and take 100 damage. Because Breaker had 1600 attack and the DD Assailant had 1700 attack. So Breaker loses that battle. He passes, so after putting another card in his spell and trap card row. So I'm going to draw for the turn. We got a Sakuretsu Armor, which is a trap that we can use to destroy a monster when it attacks. So let's put that in our spell and trap card zones. And then still we unfortunately cannot summon these monsters. So we'll end our turn. So he's attacking us again, and this time I'm gonna activate this quick play spell card. So again, quick play spell cards can be used on your opponent's turn and even during the battle phase. Also, a thing I forgot to mention is you have a second main phase on your turn after the battle phase. You can skip it if you want, but in that main phase, of course, if you didn't use your normal summon, you can use it in after your battle phase, and also you can play spell cards. So he's making a direct attack, and in response I want to activate this card Scapegoat. So this one summons what's called tokens, which are things that represent monsters, and he summons them in defense position. And these it says that these are sheep tokens. They all have 0 attack and 0 defense, and they're in defense position. It also says that they cannot be tributed for a tribute summon, so unfortunately I cannot use them to play Mobius or Zabarg in my hand. And what else? I cannot summon other monsters the turn I activate the card. Alright, so we send Scapegoat to the graveyard. Now, if he makes an attack and the amount of monsters on my board changes, then the monster that attacked has to choose a new target or decide to not attack at all. This is what's called a replay. So I'm gonna lose one of the sheep tokens because so he attacks one of the sheep tokens. When you attack a defense position monster, the defense position monster is destroyed if the attacker has higher attack than the defense position monster's defense. But if but you don't take damage. However, if my goat were to have more defense than his attack, then he would take the difference in damage, but his attacking monster would not be destroyed. So the attacker is never destroyed when attacking a defense position monster, and also the defender never loses life points when a monster is attacked in defense position. So he passes the turn, and we draw a card for the turn. So finally we draw a monster. Then potentially, if we can keep this on the board for a turn, then we can play one of our Monarchs. So let's set this monster on the board. Use our normal... I should go to my main phase first, to be clear, because I can't do this in my draw step. And I will then end my turn immediately. So he goes to his main phase. He plays this Mystic Swordsman, level 2. This one has a special ability that at the start of a damage step, which is a step in the battle phase, it destroys the face down monster it's attacking without the monster being flipped first. So this is something I haven't gotten to yet. So if you attack a face down monster, then the monster will be flipped before you decide the outcome of the battle. But the special power of Mystic Swordsman is that the monster is not flipped, it's just destroyed immediately. So the attack values don't matter. So instead of having that happen, I will activate the Sakuretsu armor, which destroys an attacking monster. And now he can still attack, so each monster can attack once per turn, so the DD Assailant can still attack something if it wants to. He decides to attack one of the goats, so that goat will die. And he goes to his end phase and he passes the turn. So I draw for the turn. And now I can finally do something cool. So if you have a face down monster, you can do what's called a flip summon. And you can't do this the turn you set the monster, meaning putting it face down. But you can flip it, flip summon it. And flip summoning it means that it's flipped to face up attack position like this. And then since this is a flip effect monster, flip effect monsters, they have an effect when they are flipped from face down to face up. So this one basically lets me draw a card, and he has no response. So Dekoichi will let me get a card with its effect. So I draw a card. And I still haven't used my normal summon. Flip summon is not a normal summon. And also let me go to main phase to be clear. So flip summon is not a normal summon. So I can do a tribute summon now for the first time. So I'm going to tribute this Dekoichi to be able to play this Mobius the Frost Monarch, which is a monster that when it's tribute summoned, I can target up to 2 spell or trap cards and destroy those targets. So I target his 2 cards. And he responds by putting Trap Hole on the chain. So now we're finally using the chain in a meaningful way. The effect of Mobius triggered, that was Chain Link 1. And then he put Trap Hole as Chain Link 2. And that means since Trap Hole is last in the chain, it will resolve first. And Mobius goes to the graveyard. Then Mobius effect will be applied. The 2 cards are destroyed, but only Premature Burial remains. Because Premature Burial is removed, the DD Assailant is destroyed. But now I've used my normal summons and I can't really use the Soul Exchange. I could set it on the board, but then he could perhaps use an effect to get rid of it, and I would like to keep it. So I'm going to pass my turn, and we're going to continue from there. So he plays a spell in his main phase. This one lets him search a level 4 lower warrior monster from his deck to his hand. So I guess I can explain this too then. Monsters, they have, as I talked about, they have a level. They also have an attack and defense value. But as you can see, there's also this circle in the top right corner. That's called an attribute. And they also have a type. So the Breaker, for example, is a spellcaster. As you can see right above in his text box in the upper left corner. Mobius is Aqua. Dekoichi is Machine, and so on. And DD Warrior Lady is a warrior. So he chose to search that one out. And now he's using his normal summon to play the DD Warrior Lady. So he plays it, he attacks one of the goat tokens, and the goat dies. And then he puts a spell or trap on the board, and back to us. So I draw for the turn. I get a card that I can actually use here. So if 2 monsters, when they attack each other, have the same attack value, then they will both be destroyed. Now, DD Warrior Lady has this ability where he can banish a monster that it battles, regardless of the attack values, after the damage is calculated. But yeah, I think I'll try to do that. Actually, no. What? Oh, that was a mistake. Actually, no. I have a special plan in mind. I want to use this soul exchange that allows us to tribute one of his monsters. So I want to tribute one of his monsters and then play Zaborg, the Thunder Monarch. And when this card is tribute summoned, I can target one monster on his field and destroy it. But if there are no monsters on his field, then I have to destroy one of my own monsters. So I want to wait until he has more monsters on the field. So instead of trading this behemoth, or trying to trade it for his warrior lady, I'm just going to put Dekochi on the board and pass. Again, that happens in my main phase, and I'm just going to pass to him. So he draws for the turn. Now, if a flip monster is flipped during a battle, the flip effect doesn't happen as soon as it's flipped. But even if the flip monster is destroyed, the flip effect will still be resolved. So the flip effect is resolved basically after the battle is resolved in those cases. So I flip Dekochi. Dekochi loses the battle to DD Warrior Lady. And that means I get a card from the effect of Dekochi. But he also played this giant rat, so now our plan is coming to fruition. He played another monster that maybe we can destroy. He passes to us. Alright, so we drew another Zaborg Monarch. So now I'm going to go to my main phase after drawing. We play the Soul Exchange that allows us to, during this turn, tribute one of his monsters as if it was our own. But we have to skip our battle phase the turn we play this card. So we target his giant rat, and I normal summon Zaborg by tributing his rat, and I will target his rat with Zaborg's effect. Oh, and he has a great response. He plays a quick play spell, My Body as a Shield. It says, when your opponent activates a spell, trap, or monster effect that would destroy a monster on the field, you can pay 1500 life points, which he did, and then he negates the activation of the effect and destroys its source, which is Zaborg. So Zaborg is destroyed now. So instead of us killing the DD Warrior Lady, he killed our Zaborg with this My Body as a Shield. Was able to protect himself from that. So I'm going to put a trap down and then pass to him. He goes to his main phase, then the battle phase. Attacks with the Warrior Lady, and we will take this direct damage, 1500, which is the attack of her. And he passes. Ooh, this is a nice card. So Cyber Dragon is a level 5 monster, but it says if only your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. So we go to our main phase, and this is something you can do only in your main phase. We special summon the Cyber Dragon, and then we will tribute the Cyber Dragon to play, because we haven't used our normal summon, to play Zaborg the Thunder Monarch, and then we can target the DD Warrior Lady with his effect. So now she will be destroyed. And then we can go to the battle phase and attack him directly with Zaborg. And now he only has 1700 life left. So we pass. He draws a card for the turn, goes to his main phase. And he does the same. He special summons a Cyber Dragon from his hand. And Trap Hole can't be used on special summons, only normal and flip summons, so I will not use it. So I'm going to give him thumbs up. Then he plays Reinforcement of the Army. So he can search, once again, level 4 or lower warrior monster from his deck and put it in his hand. And he has to show it to us. So he puts Exile Force in his hand. He's probably going to play it, so we'll get a chance to see what it does. So he plays Summons Exile Force that says you can tribute this card, then target one monster on the field to destroy that target. Now we're playing the modern rules, which means we have a chance to respond to his summon before he has a chance to tribute Exile Force. So I'm going to activate Chapel in response so he doesn't get to destroy our Saborg with this effect. Ooh. But he plays another My Body as a Shield. So he pays another 1500 life, negates the effect of Trap Hole, and the Exile Force stays alive, but now he's only at 200 life. But that means he can tribute this Exile Force to get rid of our Saborg. And then he can attack us directly with the Cyber Dragon, which he does. So I take 2100 damage, down to 4300. And now we're on the ropes. So we have this twin-headed behemoth that can special summon itself from the graveyard during the end phase of a turn where it was destroyed. But it comes back with only 1000 attack, and we can only use that effect once per duel. But that's fine. So we're gonna set that monster, and we're going to, after he kills it with the Cyber Dragon, we'll get a weaker version back that we can tribute for our Mobius and hopefully get rid of the Cyber Dragon. So we pass the turn to him, and he draws for the turn. It is possible, though, that he managed to get rid of this somehow. If we successfully attack the Cyber Dragon with Mobius, then he will be out of life points, because the difference between them is 300 and he only has 200 left. So he plays Breaker the Magical Warrior that you saw earlier. The twin-headed behemoth goes to the grave. But that means it will be special summoned at the end of turn, unless he somehow negates the effect or removes it from the graveyard. So we're going to take 1900 damage from the Breaker. I'm at 2400. And then he's satisfied. So I'm going to special summon this twin-headed behemoth with its effect. And now its attack and defense are only 1000. Is there a way to change that? I don't think so. But it is effectively 1000. So I tribute this to play Mobius. And then this should finish the game. So Mobius attacks Breaker. And yeah, he can't play anything from his hand. So he loses the duel, and we win. He's out of life points. So that was, that was an example of how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, if you play in a tournament, you would play a best of 3 normally, and then you could also put in cards from your sideboard between the duels, which I will get to. But that is basically how you play the game. There are a few other details, but in essence, this is how the game works. I'm going to take a very short break, 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'll be back with the deck talk, talking about these 2 decks for today, and then we'll be back with a full match between the decks. So stay tuned, and I'll be right back. All right, and I am back. So we're gonna have a look at the decks. Um, so once again, this is a retro house format that I sort of designed myself. Um, the full details for the format that we're playing today is in the description. Um, but I already gave the brief description of the format. Cards up to Strike of Neos, some of up to before Strike of Neos, both from the OCG and TCG. Some of the modern rules are used, like not drawing when you start. And also the ban list is quite different than, for example, the GOAT format. It's a bit more restrictive in certain places. For people who are very used to Yu-Gi-Oh! Some of the most notable things are, for example, that we don't play with Heavy Storm in the format. So it's easier to have a lot of cards in your spell and trap card zones. So as you can see, this is a spell that destroys all spell and trap cards on the field. And I wanted it to be a little bit easier to have more cards on in your spell and trap card row. So this is one that we got rid of. Another card that may be a bit controversial that I got rid of is Bottomless Trap Hole. That banishes a monster with 1500 or more attack when your opponent summons it. This was to make special summoning big monsters a little bit more viable. Now, these are, of course, things that you do based on your own taste. When you have a house format, of course, you can basically decide however you want to play. So yeah, but this is the format is something that could always change. So a card could always be brought back if we thought it would be fun to do it. But anyway, so let's get to deck talk for the decks of today. So the one I'm playing is the one you just saw, the Monarchs deck, which basically just tries to summon these Monarch cards that you saw in the game that we just played. Moby's the Frost Monarch, Saborg the Thunder Monarch. They have very powerful effects when you summon them. So again, Mobius destroys 2 spell or trap cards when you play him. Saborg destroys a monster. This one we didn't see. The Thunderstorm Monarch. When he's tribute summoned, he discards a random card from our opponent's hand. And then if it was a monster, they take 100 damage for each level, but that's less significant. So we're trying to gain card advantage by playing the Monarchs. And then we're playing some cards that we contribute to summon the Monarchs. So we're playing a lot of flip effect monsters. So Magician of Faith can give us a spell back when we flip her. Old Vindictive Magician can destroy one of our opponent's monsters. So these monsters will basically have gained the value we want from them after we flip them, and then we can tribute them afterwards after we use the ability from them. Same with Dekochi, he gets us a card, and then we're fine with tributing him afterwards because he's quite a small monster. So the main thing he does is drawing us the card. Same with Breaker is pretty good on his own, but after you've destroyed a spell with him, he's also fine to tribute. Cyber Dragon, because we can special summon it, makes it easy for us to tribute. Gravekeeper Spy has a flip effect to summon another copy of itself, essentially. It can be any Gravekeeper's monster, but we're only playing another Gravekeeper's monster. And also has very high defense value, so it's hard to get rid of. So this essentially becomes 2 monsters, and then we contribute those monsters for our big Monarchs. Sangan, when he's sent to the graveyard, we can search our deck for a monster with 1500 or less attack and add it to our hand. Everything else that it says right there you can ignore, because that is errata that they added and with the modern version to be able to unban Sangan. But but this card, as we're playing with it, only searches your deck for a monster from your deck with 1500 or less when it's sent to the graveyard. So ignore all of that stuff. And also, if you're not familiar with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Ban list, some cards, normally in a deck, you can play 3 of a card, 3 copies of the same card, and your deck contains minimum 40 cards. But because of the ban list, some cards are banned, some cards you can play 1 copy called limited, and then some cards are semi-limited. With Sangan is a limited card, so that's why we're only playing 1 copy of him. Of course, in your house format, if you feel like playing 3 copies of Sangam, then go ahead. But I think it's valid to have him at 1, similar to what he was at the time when I started playing. Anyway, so the Apprentice Magician is a card when it's destroyed in battle. We can special summon a level 2 or lower spellcaster in defense position, which works well with Magician of Faith and Old Vindictive Magician. So we have 2 different spellcasters that we can get on the board in that way. And then there's Twin-Headed Behemoth that you saw in the game. So it can die, but then it comes back again. So hard for opponents to get rid of, and it means we have something we contribute. Soul Exchange again helps with this. It means we contribute our opponent's monsters. Mystical Space Typhoon is just a pretty standard card, and it's limited. It just can get rid of a spell or trap card on our opponent's field. Helps clear things up. Means they have fewer things on the board that they can respond to what we're doing. Premature Burial. We saw it in the game. You can special summon a monster from your graveyard. Pretty powerful effect, especially if you have big monsters like the Monarchs. You can suddenly just get a 2,400 attack monster from nowhere. Then there's Enemy Controller, which is a quick play spell, which we can use to change the battle position of one of our opponent's monsters. That's actually something I didn't get to, but once per turn, if you have a face-up monster that didn't attack or wasn't summoned that turn, then you can change their battle position. So if you want to put a monster in defense position, or if you want to go from defense position to attack position, you can do that. But this enemy controller allows us to do that to our opponent's monsters, or it has 2 options. We can tribute one of our monsters and then target one of their face-up monsters and take control of that until the end of turn, which of course means that we can tribute it for our Monarchs. So that's what we're doing with that. And actually, there's a combo here as well. The goats that we summon with Scapegoat, they cannot be tributed for a tribute summon, but they can be tributed when we use enemy controller. So there's a nice little combo there. Where you can tribute a goat to take control of one of your opponent's monsters, which becomes a very powerful effect. We have Nobleman of Crossout that we saw in the game. It's just a pretty general, good way to get rid of your opponent's face-down monsters. And we want a few different kinds of powerful spells because we can get them back with Magician of Faith. Having some options is good because then we can adapt to the situation. The rest of the spells are pretty standard. You saw Sakaret's Arm and Chapel just to get rid of our opponent's monsters. Then we have 3 different limited ones that are really powerful. Torrential Tribute. When a monster is summoned, this one destroys all the monsters on the field. So very scary, powerful effect, and you need to be mindful of this when playing. And also, of course, if your opponent has already played their copy of Torrential Tribute or not. Mirror Force is similar, where you have to be really scared of it until you've seen it gone. This one, when our opponent attacks, it destroys all their face-up attack position monsters. So attacking with having a lot of monsters in attack position can be risky, as long as this has not been used yet. Call of the Haunted is kind of like Premature Burial in trap form. You can summon a monster from your graveyard, and it appears in attack position, and if Call of the Haunted is destroyed, the monster is also destroyed. That's basically the Monarch deck. So you're just trying to get card advantage. You have a few tricks to tribute your opponent's monsters. You get the big Monarchs on the board, and then you slowly wear them down and beat them to death. These cards down here, we don't necessarily need to go over these, but let me just mention that a sideboard is 15 cards that you can swap in between the games in a match. So you can have cards that are particularly good against a particular kind of deck. For example, against the deck we're facing today, I'm probably going to add some Banisher of the Radiances between the games, but let's take that when we're actually playing, and go to the zombie deck. But that's how a sideboard works. And now I just saw that for some reason this deck looks like... Oh, that's because it's the wrong deck. Okay, this is the zombie deck that my opponent is playing. So This one is quite different than the deck we just saw. So it uses the power of this card, really, Pyramid Turtle, but also the power of this card, Giant Rat. So these are both monsters that have an effect when they're destroyed in battle, that allows them to special summon a monster from our deck. In the case of Pyramid Turtle, we can summon a zombie with 2,000 or less defense. In the case of Giant Rat, we summon an Earth monster with 1,500 or less attack from our deck, but it has to be in attack position. So we have a lot of Earth monsters that Giant Rat can get. One of those monsters is Pyramid Turtle. So one of the things you can do is attack a monster with Giant Rat, where Giant Rat will lose the battle, then special summon Pyramid Turtle, then attack with Pyramid Turtle, and then summon something different with the Pyramid Turtle. The thing with Pyramid Turtle is that it can get really big monsters. So 2,000 or less defense on a zombie means we can summon a card like Ryokoki with its effect, which has 2,400 attack. So it's a very easy way to cheat out a big monster without having to tribute summon. And we can also get the Vampire Lord, which is a guy that comes back if our opponent destroyed him with a spell or trap effect in our standby phase. We can special summon him. And then the rest of the cards are either cards that can be summoned with Giant Rat, like we have Injection Fairy Lily that we can summon with Giant Rat that looks bad when you look at her stats, but her special power is that you can pay 2,000 life when she battles to give her 3,000 extra attack, and she's just a level 3 monster, so she can have a huge amount of attack despite being just a tiny monster. And we have Exile Force that we can special summon with Giant Rat. But we can also get it with Reinforcement of the Army. So we have this card as well to get some warrior cards. And this one you saw in the game that we just played. So then there's a Mystic Swordsman, a level 2 as well. The one that basically attacks and destroys a face down defense position monster without even having a battle. And some other warriors that we can search out. DD Assailant. That we saw in the game, same with DD Warrior Lady. Sangan that we just saw in the Monarch deck. Spirit Reaper is another zombie you can get. This one is also limited, like a lot of the cards here. Like all of these 5 are actually limited cards. That's why you only have 1 copy in the deck. Spirit Reaper cannot be destroyed in battle and can discard cards from our opponent's hand when we attack with him. And the rest of the cards are pretty standard. You saw Mystical Space Typhoon before. My Body as a Shield that can protect our cards from dying. Then there's Creature Swap, which is one of the main tricks in the deck. So when you play the spell, you swap one of your creatures for one of their creatures that they choose. And the cool trick about that is that if Pyramid Turtle is destroyed by battle and it's on your opponent's field, but it's your Pyramid Turtle, it still goes to your graveyard and you still get the effect from the Pyramid Turtle. So you can give them your Pyramid Turtle, then kill the Pyramid Turtle, and you get a monster back. So Creature Swap can be a very nice way to gain a card advantage while also summoning some big monsters, as long as you're able to kill the thing that you're swapping them or that you're giving them with the Creature Swap. Book of Life can special summon a zombie from our graveyard. As long as we have a monster in their graveyard, we can remove from the game. We have Smashing Ground, which is a spell that just destroys their highest defense position monster. So just getting rid of some big monsters in the way. Nobleman of Grossout that we saw. Premature Burial just to get our big monsters back. Same with Call of the Haunted. Then the rest is pretty standard, like we saw in the other deck. Mirror Force, Torrential Tribute, 2 Sakura's Armors, and 3 Trap Holes. So the zombie deck is more low to the ground. You just basically play your dudes. You try to attack every turn. It's not that complicated, but you have a nice combo with Creature Swap, and you have a nice way to get big creatures onto the board with Pyramid Turtle. So this is what we're going for with this deck. These 2 decks in this little house format that I have are, in my opinion, among the strongest. But the fun part is, of course, exploring this little format and what you can do within it. There's a lot of sets, a lot of cards, so a lot of things you can explore. But without further ado, I think we should jump into another game. So I'm gonna save this deck and exit and then check if he's ready to play another game. So now we're gonna do an actual match, which means a best of 3 with these decks. And since at this point we should know the rules, I won't be explaining rules unless it's stuff that I haven't mentioned yet. And I'll just go through my thought process as we're playing the game. And in general, these Yu-Gi-Oh streams, the coming ones, will be just like presenting decks that are built within this format, talking about the thought process, and then doing some gameplay with play-by-play commentary. Now I actually... oh wait, I'm going first. Oh, did I choose to go first? I guess maybe I chose to go first by accident. I'm not sure what happened. I was too busy talking, but okay. With this hand, I guess all we can do is... What I want to do is just set these 2 cards. I'll keep the enemy controller in hand, because I might want to use it later. And we can't summon either of these monsters. So I'll just pass to him. And you randomize who starts the first game in a match. And then after that, the loser will always choose who starts in the coming matches. Of course, if you win 2 in a row, then the match is over immediately. So he sets a monster card and a spell or trap card. So we're going to draw for the turn. Okay. We can do a few things here. But I kind of want to special summon the Cyber Dragon and then tribute it to be able to use Saborg. So I'm going to try that. So we special summon the Cyber Dragon with its effect. And then tribute it to normal summon Saborg. And we target this monster with his effect. He responds with Trap Hole. So the Saborg will be destroyed by the effect of Trap Hole and go to the graveyard. And so, yeah, in this format, it actually seems it's better to go second because it's quite slow and you get an extra card. The one advantage with going first is that you get an extra normal summon, which is nice, but doesn't typically compensate for the card. Because, of course, there's a lot of tricks to get rid of monsters. Spell cards, trap cards, monster effects. Oh, it turns out, yeah, this wasn't as great as I was hoping for. Because the monster that we destroyed was Sangan, which gets him a card. Oh, I didn't end my turn yet, sorry. which means he can search his deck for another monster. So we didn't actually make him lose any cards by killing this. This is one of the reasons why Sangan is so good. Apart from the fact that there are so many monsters that you can search out with this effect. So he plays a giant rat. And I'm going to try to go for a classic trick. So I'm not going to kill this... Giant Rat with Torrential Tribute or Sakaret's Armor. What I want to do is save the Torrential Tribute for when he puts another monster on the board. And we're going to put a Sangan face down to pretend that we also have a monster on the board that we want to preserve. And we try to bait him into playing another monster, and then we play the Torrential Tribute, potentially killing 2 monsters, and the monster that dies on our side will be replaced by the effect of Sangan. That is what I want to try. So I'm just gonna set Sangan and try to see if he goes for the summon. Draws a card for the turn. So now I'm just begging. I'm hoping for him to summon another monster. Well, it's not that bad if he doesn't. Then I can use the Sakuretsu armor and preserve my Sangan in case he sets a monster. And then I can tribute the Sangan and get rid of his set monster. Oh, that's interesting. So he chooses to tribute the Giant Rat to summon Vampire Lord. Again, if we kill this with a monster effect, if we kill this Vampire Lord with a card effect, then he can special summon him in a standby phase, so he comes back. So I don't really want to do that. If we, however, take control of him with enemy controller and tribute him, then that's a different matter. So I'm gonna let him do whatever he wants, so he can attack the Sangan if he wants to with the Vampire Lord. So that's fine. So our Sangan goes to the grave, and that means Sangan's effect will trigger. And I can search out a monster with 1500 or less attack. And I think a Gravekeeper Spy is perfect for this situation because it has 2000 defense, so Vampire Lord can't kill it. And it can get another Gravekeeper Spy from the deck. And also, if he doesn't get rid of it somehow, then... Although, of course, there's a few ways where he could get rid of the Gravekeeper Spy before we have a chance to do what we want to do. But I'm going to set the Gravekeeper Spy. I guess set one of the enemy controllers. And then pass to him. So there's a few ways he can get rid of this Gravekeeper Spy. And I'm just hoping that he... Well, I think the main worry is Nobleman of Crossout. If he plays an exiled force, that's also a problem. He could tribute the exiled force to get rid of this, and we don't have a trap hole to get rid of the exiled force when he summons it. And we have Torrential Tribute, but if we use that, then the Vampire Lord will come back. So it's not really an efficient use of cards because we'll lose 2 cards and he only loses 1. So he does go for the attack, which is a bit surprising to me. But I'm going to flip this. And if he doesn't have a response, that means Gravekeeper Spy will trigger. So since they had the attack of Vampire Lord is the same as the defense of Gravekeeper Spy, it means we don't take damage. So Gravekeeper Spy effect to trigger, to special summon a Gravekeeper with 1500 or less is activated. And we special summon one. So looks like we got what we wanted. But especially if he puts a monster face down here. He doesn't, though. It's a little bit unfortunate. But we're not in a really big hurry here. So what I wanted to do, if he had another monster, is play this enemy controller and tribute our Gravekeeper Spy to take control of the Vampire Lord. And then we could tribute it to play Zaborg and destroy the monster that he played. But of course we can't do that because there's no other monster. So it's not ideal. We would have to destroy one of our own monsters with Zaborg then. So I'm going to put Dekochi on the board instead and pass. But I really like about Yu-Gi-Oh! That it's like This is just this back and forth punching match where games can be over really quickly. It makes it feel pretty intense. Now some games can end up being really slow, but yeah, there's a lot of action, a lot of back and forth. It's very tactical. You're just trying to make constantly make good trades. I have no idea what happened there. I think he accidentally I think he accidentally put the Torrential Tribute back in his deck. So he summons a Pyramid Turtle with his normal summon. Uses Torrential Tribute. But I'm okay with this, because Vampire Lord does not trigger on his own if he destroys it with his own effects. So I'm just gonna approve that. So that means Dekoichi will not be flipped, and we don't get the card. Oh, okay, he's playing Book of Life, so now he can special summon a zombie. And the Book of Life removes, has to remove one of my monsters for play when he plays it. That's called banishing. So he chooses to banish the Saborg and summons his Vampire Lord. And then he goes to his battle phase and attacks us. And again, I don't want to waste these cards on him, so I'll just take the damage. Vampire Lord has a bad ability. When he inflicts battle damage, he has to declare a card type, and then we get to send one card of that type from our deck to our graveyard, which is actually good for us. But he has to do it, so I'm going to ask him what type. He can't choose not to do it, so... Okay, he says trap, so now we can view our deck and get rid of a trap from there. And I think probably the trap we want to get rid of... I think it's Sakuretsu Armor. Trap Hole is useful to stop exile. Sorry. There we go. So now we can start our turn. We draw. And yeah, we try to put Dekoichi on the board once again. We'll just pass to him. So this Vampire Lord turned out to be really annoying to deal with in this scenario. He never really gave us the opportunity to comfortably deal with it. Now, if he attacks here, maybe I should use the enemy controller. He plays Injection Fairy Lily. Yeah, I think then it might finally be time to use this enemy controller. So we can turn this Vampire Lord to defense position. And when you're in defense position, you can't attack. So if you declare attack and you... then the attack cancels. And I guess now he's thinking about whether he wants to attack with the fairy. So I wanted to save this Dekoichi. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if this makes a whole lot of sense. But actually, he does what I wanted him to do. So he could have attacked with the fairy. And in order to save the Koichi, then I would have to activate Sakuretsu armor. But yeah, if I play Zaborg here and have to attribute the Dekoichi, the only target for Zaborg's effect except himself will be the Vampire Lord, who will once again come back. But now, finally, I think we can do what I wanted to do. So I can flip someone on the Dekoichi. And yeah, he doesn't do anything, so we get the draw from Dekoichi. Then I can tribute the Dekoichi, I think. How do I want to do this? Yeah, there are a few different ways. Actually, if this is my body as a shield, and he can get rid of the Zaborg, I want to make this a better trade for me. So I'll play this Soul Exchange on Vampire Lord. So it resolves, and then I can tribute summon Zaborg by tributing the Vampire Lord, and then I target the fairy with his effect. He uses Trap Hole, and that's okay. So Zaborg will be destroyed, and the fairy will be destroyed by Zaborg's effect. Go to battle phase. Actually, no, I have to skip battle phase because I played Soul Exchange. So I think I'll just pass here. Maybe I should set the enemy controller. Probably. Because again, there's no heavy storm. Yeah, looks like I definitely should have. He plays Book of Life. And he gets his Vampire Lord back. This card keeps haunting us. So I banish the Zaborg. And it just keeps coming back. I think this time, to make sure we have something to tribute for Thestalos, I will use Sakuretsu armor on this Vampire Lord. But that means Vampire Lord will be special summoned in his next standby phase. Alright, so we draw for the turn. And what I want to do now is summon the Thestalos. So I'll do that. And that will discard a card from his hand, unless he has a way to get around that. So he rolls to decide which card will get discarded. So he takes 200 damage. Okay, and I guess now I'll set the enemy controller when it's too late. And then we pass. Yeah, so little details like that can make a big difference. So now he should get his Vampire Lord back. And he does. So if he plays something like Smashing Ground here to get rid of the Stalos, then I have a little trick. Wait, I might want to respond to this. Probably not, but there's a nice little trick where I could play Torrential Tribute, then enemy controller, to take control of his Vampire Lord, and then all of the monsters will be destroyed. But I will not go for that. You can use the enemy controller to put this... DD Assailant in defense position. And maybe we can finally get rid of this Vampire Lord by attacking it then. But he has 2 cards face down, so maybe we can't. But I will try. Yeah. He plays a Saccaret's Armor, so the Stalos is killed. And I'll set an Apprentice Magician back to him. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah, he attacks this. He kills the Apprentice Magician. So I get to use her effect. And we can summon a level 2 or lower spellcaster. So let's get Magician of Faith. We have to put her face down. That's part of the effect. So normally if a monster special summon, it's always face up. But if it says face down specifically, then it's face down. So he will attack this with the Vampire Lord and we can get something back. I'm thinking the enemy controller, because we can actually use that. And the Vindictive Magician to take control of his assailant and then attack the Vampire Lord. Maybe finally get rid of it. It's all good, I think. And he sets another monster. So back to us. Actually, so I could do the trick here with Torrential Tribute. Normal summon this guy. Activate Torrential Tribute. Then activate enemy controller to take control of the Vampire Lord. And if it's on our field when it's destroyed, even if it's still by our card effect, then it doesn't summon. So I'll summon the Magician. See if he has a response. So we chain enemy controller, that's chain link 2. So that will resolve before the Torrential Tribute. And then finally, so okay. So that will enter my field, and then all of the monsters are destroyed. So we're finally able to clean this up. And now we can, oh, this should be in our main phase. Now we can set the Mirror Force, and it's back to him. So he's still ahead on cards, but damn, this was a grindy game. This is just game 1 of the match. Yeah, I'll just set this. So I'll try to go fast. But this was, yeah, a very close one. Plays the Exile Force. Yeah, that's fine. I think I want to save the Mirror Force, so I'll activate the skill card. So I get rid of one of the goats. I got rid of the wrong one, just to spite him. Okay, we draw for the turn. We draw a trap. We can set it. Pass. He attacks another goat. That's fine. So now Call of the Haunted can get back one of our big monsters. We go to our battle phase, activate Call of the Haunted. And we attack this Exile Force. Yep, nice. Looks like you can't stop it, so we're gonna get free monster kill and some damage. That's great. And then we set the Magician of Faith in our main phase too, and we pass to him. So now things are actually looking up. He has 4 cards in total. We have 3 really, so he's still kind of ahead on cards. But we also have these 2 goat tokens, and we have a big monster. So this feels okay. He plays Smashing Ground. Yeah, so this will destroy the Stalos. And he sets another Speller Trap. Back to us. Draw for the turn. So I go to main phase. Oh, yeah, we have to get rid of Call of the Haunted as well. He's pointing that out. So we flip Magician of Faith, so we can get a spell back into our hand. And I think enemy controller is good now that we have goats on our board. Let's go for that. And we tribute the Magician of Faith for another Thestalos. He uses Trap Hole to destroy the Thestalos, but Thestalos' effect to discard still applies. And we managed to get rid of a Mirror Force, so that's great. I guess he didn't want to put all the cards on his back row because he was afraid of Mobius destroying 2 of his cards. Passes to us. Draw for the turn. Damn, this is a crazy close game. So we put the Trap Hole down. And he goes to his main phase 1. Yeah, we're finally even on cards. Premature Burial, so he can get a card back. And it's Vampire Lord once again, our bane. Yeah, again, the one we had trouble getting rid of. We have a way to do it with enemy controller. So we lose this goat. Again, don't want to waste any of these. Another way to get rid of it is to destroy this Premature Burial. Okay, that's not what I wanted, but we'll put it on the board. We have some tricks we can use there, perhaps. If he puts another monster on the board, we can tribute this goat and take control of the Vampire Lord and then tribute the other thing, but that's not, he doesn't let us do it. So that's annoying. Question is if we use the enemy controller just to save this goat. I'm not sure it's correct, but I'll activate this too to stop that. And I was activating the wrong one. I should have activated the one he knew about. So that's my bad. Okay, yeah, playing fast is not working out. Passes to us. That's a good draw. It's another way we can potentially get rid of this Vampire Lord. So we pay 800. Special summon this. And we attack the Vampire Lord. Shit. Oh man, okay, wait. Is there a way? No, there's nothing we can really do. So we lose the Thestalos to this Sakuretsu armor. So now he's turning this to attack position and attacking the goat. So we lose the goat, draw for the turn, get a Dekoichi. Alright, pass back to him. Yeah, he uses a Nobleman of Crossout, so that will banish this Dekoichi. And if we have any extra copies, they will be removed, but we don't. Yeah, it's actually looking like we're losing now. And I shouldn't have. Okay, he's summoning an extra monster finally. Wait, maybe I want to activate something when he places Giant Rat. But no, I think I won't do that, and I will activate the Mirror Force. Oh wow, okay. Yeah, he just negates it with my body as a shield. I probably should have considered that he has that option, because then Trample on the Giant Rat makes sense. So then we just take 1400 damage from the Giant Rat. 2000 from the Vampire Lord. And he chooses to have us lose a trap from our deck. So we put a trap hole in there. Draw for the turn. And now it's too late. We only have the Mobius. We can't tribute anything. So I just concede. Well played by him. That was a crazy long game. Damn. So now if we want, we can sideboard in some cards. And I think some cards that we want is this Banisher of the Radiance that says that cards going to the graveyard. Cards that would it says that cards that would be sent to the graveyard are banished instead. So all of his effects that activate in the graveyard will be mitigated if we have they won't be able to trigger if we have this on the board. So I want to get some of those in. So I'm going to trade 3 of those for some of our own cards that trigger from the grave. Like Sangan, Premature Burial, and Call of the Haunted. They interact with the grave. So let's do it that way. Maybe another Mobius, I'm not sure. We already have a lot of Monarchs. But let's try it. Don't want to take too long, but that's the card that I think will be good against him. The other stuff is for other kinds of decks. So we swap. Yeah, there we go. And I think we're done. We will try this out, see how it goes. So Banisher is, of course, it's great against Pyramid Turtle. It's also means that Vampire Lord, we can get around his effect. If we destroy him with a card effect, he goes to the... well, he gets banished, so he can't trigger from the graveyard. Actually, yeah, I realized he has some sideboard cards that he can put in, but that maybe we want this Dust Tornado for. It's like essentially a mystical Space Typhoon that we can. It's a trap card. But okay, now we go second, so we get an extra card. So we might actually, it might be that we would have liked to have the Dust Tornado. But what's done is done. Alright, so it goes for this opener. And we can... I think Soul Exchange into Mobius is nice. That should be fine. Or Thestalos. But I'll go for Mobius. And we target this. So we're tributing his monster. And he's activating Skill Drain. So this is the card that I want to Dust Tornado for. So to activate it, he pays 1,000 life points. And it's a continuous trap, meaning it's a trap card that stays on the board. And while it's on the board, he negates the effects of all face-up monsters. So this negates Mobius and prevents Mobius from destroying this card. But now I'm gonna set all of, well, 2 of these, because these we can activate in response to him trying to destroy them. And we'll keep the enemy controller. I missed what he was, what he searched from his deck with Sangan. Somehow he always has Sangan in these situations, so that we don't end up gaining a card. It's very unfortunate. Oh, a Pyramid Turtle. Okay. That's fine, I think. So I'm just gonna end my turn, because I have to skip my battle phase this turn. And fortunately, we do have Mystical Space Typhoon to get rid of this Skill Drain, which means we can use the effect of our Thestalos. So during his end phase, I want to activate Scapegoat. So before our turn starts. Because we can't summon other cards the turn we activate Scapegoat, so we do it on his turn instead. Because I'm thinking this is going to be Pyramid Turtle, and then we'll want to take control of whatever he summons. Question is if we use Mystical Space Typhoon on his face down card as well. Or if we save it for a Skill Drain. I'll save it for Skill Drain, I think. So now we're blocked from playing the Banisher of the Radiance. So I'll try to do it this way. Get rid of the Skill Drain. And try to attack this, which I think is a Pyramid Turtle. Yeah, so it is, and it will trigger, so you can special summon a summon monster with 2,000 or less defense from his deck. So he gets a Ryokoki, but because it's the battle phase, we can play a quick play spell. So we use enemy controller, tributing a goat, and we take control of his Ryokoki. Until end of turn, and then we can attack with the Ryokoki. So he could still activate something here if he wants to. he's thinking, I guess. I'll get some more water while he thinks. Oh, he's using Call of the Haunted to get this Pyramid Turtle back. And so we could attack the Pyramid Turtle if we want to. And he'll take 1200, but he will be able to get another Ryokoki if he wants to, because he's on 2 copies. Yeah, I think that's fine, because he can do it anyway on his next turn. And this way we don't give him the option. He has to choose now what he wants to get before he sees what we do. So he gets another Ryokoki. So now we can go to our main phase and we'll tribute this Ryokoki that he would get back at the end of turn to play the Thestalos, and now he has to discard a card. Nice. 3. I don't know what that means, but I trust him. So he loses a Book of Life. That is nice. Although he can't use it yet, but if he just trades this Ryokoki for something, then he could use it. So that's a good hit. So again, if the two attacking, if you attack a monster in attack position, you both have the same amount of attack, then both the monsters die. Okay, he plays an XL Force. Gets rid of our Mobius with it. Again, he can tribute it to destroy a monster. Goes to the battle phase, and he decides to get rid of a goat and to leave the Thestalos on the board. That's the greedier play, I suppose. I'm not quite sure. I can play this Banisher to start dealing damage. I kind of feel like I should. But if he has a big creature, then he can just attack it and get rid of it, and Torrential Tribute does not help us. But I will still do that. So we play the Banisher, go to battle phase, attack the Ryokoki. And both of these will be banished. And then we attack directly with the Banisher. Okay, so now we set the trap, and we pass and hope he doesn't have a good response. Hope his hand is filled with Pyramid Turtles and Giant Rats. Oh, he has the other Book of Life. That's really bad news. Yeah, so he targets Ryokoki and our Mobius. We have to banish him. And he gets the Ryokoki back. And now I could activate the Torrential Tribute, but I don't know if I should. Yeah, I'll save it. In case we get to spring the trap later on. Yeah, this was one of the bad scenarios. Oh, he summons a giant rat. Now I can actually activate it. And it's going to be a decent trade at least. But he might have my body as a shield. All right, so all the monsters go to the all the monsters die. Goats go to goat heaven. We draw a card for the turn. Another banisher. Yeah, we just go for it. We just try our best. Hope he kind of gets stuck with those graveyard monsters. Of course, like DD Assailant is a problem. He has more attack than the Banisher. So the Banisher might not be the greatest sideboard card when you're playing a Monarch deck, because it needs a lot of support from back row cards to not be killed by other monsters, I think. So maybe we will remove this card when we sideboard next time. It's not really, I don't know, it's not really doing what we want it to be doing. But okay, this looks fine. So this we want to set, so we can go to the battle phase first and attack his monster. Okay, perfect. That card's banish. Yeah, banish it. We go to main phase 2 and we can set the spy. So I guess next turn, if he doesn't have a response, this is lethal, because we can get another spy. That's 2400 damage, and then 1600 more from the banisher. So he needs to set a card at least to threaten doing things to us if we do that. More from the banisher. So he needs to set. Playing creature swap. Interesting. Yeah, we don't want to give him the spy. I like the spy. And we get whatever this is. I can't see what it is. That's weird. So he attacks the spy, so that means we're gonna get another spy. Enemy controller. It's a permit turtle. Yeah, so we have enough to win the game now. So we can use the enemy controller. Oh, actually it's banished, but never mind. And then we can turn these to attack. And attack with everything. And that's enough damage to win the game. So we do win the second one. But now, yeah, I'm skeptical of our choices. Yeah, I'm not really liking the Banisher of the Radiance. And maybe we want Dust Tornado to get rid of more skill drains. So let's revert this change. Put these cards back. And yeah, maybe that means Banisher shouldn't even be in the sideboard. We can get the Dust Tornado that allows us to get rid of a spell or trap to deal with the skill drains, I think. The question is just, what do we cut for that? We maybe don't need 3 enemy controllers. Yeah, I'm not sure what else. I'll try getting rid of the enemy controllers and the scapegoat. No, wait. Yeah, maybe something like this. And a Mobius. Yeah, I'm not sure this is correct, but and I'll be I'll be back with the final game after a very short break. So I'll see you very soon. All right, and we are back with what is probably the final game of today, and I'm starting. So with this hand, obviously, we're going to set the Magician, the Sakuretsu Armor, and I guess also this. We pass. Not a bad start if he just sets a monster here and sets some Speller Traps, because then we can flip the Magician and go for Mobius, maybe. But he plays XL Force. That's okay. And tributes it. That's fine. So he gets rid of our Magician. Okay, this is an awkward spot. Yeah, I did add an extra Monarch, so I only have myself to blame. But I will pass here because all of these are monsters that require a tribute. And yeah. Breaker the Magical Warrior, I will respond with a Torrential Tribute, because if we don't, he might... Yeah, he gets to destroy a Speller Trap. I guess he still will, because he responds with my body as a shield to negate Torrential Tribute. And now he uses a Breaker to get rid of our Sakuretsu Armor. So, looks like we're losing this game, folks. We need to get some really good top decks. Maybe a Soul Exchange here. And that can set us back on track, but as it stands right now, things are looking really bad. Okay, Decktalk is not terrible, but we don't have any back row to defend him, so if he gets a Mystic Swordsman, it's bad news for us. And with 2 Rhoda, it's pretty easy to get it out. That's a card that searches a warrior out from his deck. But he's thinking, so maybe it's not as simple. Wait, what? He put the Des Wombat in. I think he's just trolling me, because this card makes no sense. So this Wombat, it negates the effect damage from cards, but the only effect damage I have is Thestalos, and that damage is nothing, basically. So I get a card from Dekoichi and it's sent to the graveyard. Yeah, he is just trolling me for sure. So I take 1600 from the breaker. This is just him styling on me. Yeah, I have to set the old Vindictive Magician to try to stay alive for a moment. I wonder if maybe he added Wombat as a way to try to trade with a Banisher of the Radiance. But since we took those out, which he doesn't know, of course, it ends up working out in our favor. Still, it seems like just a bad idea. But that might be why he did it. Maybe not just to troll me. But it's incredibly funny. I was not expecting to see this card. It's a card you put in against the burn decks that use a lot of effects that deal damage via card effects instead of via monsters. Okay, so he attacks this Dekoichi. We get our card. But yeah, looks like we're losing to Wombats. Just 1600 attack monsters that we can't do anything against. Okay. Well, Premature Burial is something we can at least use, so we can get Dekoichi back and then tribute it. So let's try to do something. So I take 800. I will target Dekoichi. And now we have something to tribute. So yeah, he doesn't respond to the summon. So we'll tribute this for Mobius the Frost Monarch and try to get rid of this. But if it's a trap hole, then it's bad. But it was a Sakura armor, so perfect. So we can go to battle phase, get rid of one of these stupid Wombats. And we survive for the turn. We can go to main phase. And I want to pretend that I have something I can use. So I'll put this Nobleman face down. And maybe that'll make him waste a card on it or something. But at least it introduces some doubt in his mind to whether he can kill us or not. And I want him to be a little bit worried. Because he has now, because we have a face down card, he has to consider it being Mirror Force or Torrential Tribute. So he plays Smashing Ground to get rid of the Mobius. We can't stop it. And if he puts another, he puts another Wombat on the board. That's beautiful. Yeah, was it? Looks like oh yeah, I don't have a response. So if this was Torrential Tribute. Oh, it actually can't be. But if it was Mirror Force, then this would be great for us, but it isn't. And he wins with the Wombats. That's hilarious. Wow. Beautiful. Alright. I lose the match. That was amazing. I'm just gonna check that it's the last game. I'm pretty sure. But I've never been beaten down by Wombats. I'm gonna blame my own sideboarding decisions and also my terrible draw. Yeah. All right, so that was the last game for the day. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I think, I'm not sure how often this will be, but I'm planning on this being a recurring thing, doing the Yu-Gi-Oh house retro format. So basically old school Yu-Gi-Oh, and trying to make some competitive looking decks, also some wacky decks, and the streams will be deck talk for the decks, then playing the matches and doing some play-by-play commentary just like now. So if you enjoy it, subscribe and hit the bell, and so you will see when the next Yu-Gi-Oh stream is coming. There's a bunch of other shit on the channel. If you like card games, there's Netrunner, Harry Potter TCG, Hearthstone, and I'm planning on doing WoW TCG in the future as well. And it's going to be similar to this, a retro format of the game. Also, yeah, where I explain the rules and then go into deck building, some old school decks. But yeah, thank you for watching, and hope to see you in the next stream, and have a good day or a good night if you're in my time zone. So bye bye, and see you around. And also, yeah, let me know if you have any suggestions or thoughts about the stream. Of course, I usually respond to all comments, so just let me know.